Hi everyone, welcome back to TechCravers. Now, if you already have seen my review of the AYANEO Pocket Air Mini, you might be wondering why we're talking about it again. Because on paper, this looks exactly like the same handheld. Same size, same hardware, and same 4x3 display. But this isn't just another color variant. This is the AYANEO Pocket Air Mini Arcade Home Limited Edition. And what makes this one interesting is that AYANEO has partnered directly with IGS, one of the most iconic arcade game developers in Asia, to create something we honestly don't see very often in the retro handheld space. Because instead of expecting you to find your own ROMs and set everything up yourself, this device actually ships with officially licensed arcade games pre-installed, ready to be played right out of the box. And that's not all. To go along with those games, AYANEO has also created its own emulator specifically for this release. So this isn't just a new paint job, it's also the debut of AYANEO's very first in-house emulator platform. We do get a completely new look as well. Gone is the more playful B-Duck edition I looked at previously. Instead, AYANEO is leaning heavily into arcade nostalgia with this deep red shell, metallic gold controls, and a design that looks like it came straight out of the late 90s arcade cabinet. So in this video, we're going to take a closer look at the new design, dive into AYANEO's brand new emulator, see how these official licensed arcade games actually perform, and maybe most importantly, figure out whether this is genuinely a new arcade gaming platform or simply a very clever way of packaging classic emulation. And of course, we're also going to see what happens when we start pushing things a little beyond what AYANEO intended. So without any further delay, let's jump into it. The Pocket Air Mini Arcade Home Limited Edition uses the same MediaTek MT8185V processor as the other Pocket Air Mini models. However, unlike the B-Duck edition that I reviewed previously, this version comes with the lower spec configuration featuring 2GB of RAM instead of 3. To access the pre-installed arcade games, all you have to do is to tap the IGS icon on the home screen. That launches AYANEO's brand new in-house emulator, which was developed specifically for this arcade home collaboration and serves as the main hub for all the included titles. And speaking of the titles, we can find games like Knights of Valor, Oriental Legend, Martial Masters, Demon Front, and a handful of other fan favorites from the company's arcade catalog. Now, if those games don't immediately ring a bell, that's completely understandable. Unlike Capcom, SNG and Sega, IGS was never quite as well known in the West. But for a lot of arcade players across Asia, these games are pure nostalgia. Knights of Valor, for example, became incredibly popular thanks to its fast-paced beat-em-up gameplay and its unique Three Kingdoms setting. Oriental Legend took a similar approach but mixed in mythology-inspired characters and larger-than-life boss battles. Then you have Martial Masters, which many fighting games fans still consider one of the most underrated arcade fighters ever made, with gorgeous hand-drawn animations that still look fantastic today. Personally, the game that immediately caught my attention was Demon Front. If you've ever played Metal Slug, you'll instantly recognize the inspiration. It's packed with detailed pixel art, chaotic action, huge explosions, and that same arcade energy that made so many of us spend way too many coins back in the day. And honestly, that's what makes this collection interesting. These aren't necessarily the arcade games everyone grew up with, but they're the kind of games that many retro enthusiasts have heard about for years without ever having a simple and legal way to experience them. But beyond the included games themselves, how good is AYANEO's new emulator? Honestly, I'd say it's a solid first effort. Everything from browsing your game library to launching titles feels smooth and responsive. The interface is clean, easy to navigate, and more importantly, it gets out of your way. You're never really left wondering where a setting is or how to get back to your game. Once you're in a game, a quick menu is only a button press away, giving you access to features like save states and load states, which are pretty much essential for a modern retro gaming experience. You can also switch between different display filters on the fly, whether you prefer a classic CRT look or something a bit more unusual like a Game Boy Advanced inspired presentation. Now, I wouldn't say that this emulator is packed with advanced features. You're not getting endless customization options or the kind of deep tweaking that emulator enthusiasts tend to love, but that's also not really the point here. To sum it up, AYANEO's emulator delivers the bare minimum needed to keep most users happy, and I actually mean that in a positive way. It's simple, straightforward, and everything works exactly as you'd expect. You could buy this for a child, hand it straight out of the box, and they'd be playing within minutes. No emulator setup, no ROM management, no configuration headaches. Just turn it on, pick a game and start playing. My one real complaint, however, is that AYANEO has, most likely intentionally, hard-coded exactly which games can be displayed inside the new Emulator frontend. So while the included experience works well, there currently doesn't seem to be any way to add your own arcade games and have them appear alongside the official titles in the menu. The frontend is essentially locked to the pre-installed library. That means if you want to expand beyond the games that came with the device, you're still going to end up doing what retro handheld users have always done, installing your own emulators, setting up your own frontend, and managing your own game library separately. And honestly, that's a bit of a shame, because the emulator itself is clean, simple, and easy to use, so it would be fantastic if a future update allowed users to import their own games, scrape box arts, and build out their own arcade collection while still taking advantage of AYANEO's polished interface. Unfortunately, I'm not particularly optimistic that's going to happen. The entire purpose of this project seems to be creating a curated, officially licensed arcade experience rather than an open emulation platform. And while I completely understand why AYANEO and IGS want to keep things that way, it does make the software feel more restrictive than it probably needs to be. So for now, think of it as a dedicated launcher for the included games rather than a replacement for your existing emulation setup. But that's actually gonna do it for this quick look at the new AYANEO Pocket Air Mini Arcade Home Edition. Overall, I think AYANEO has done a good job creating a simple and approachable arcade experience. The licensed games are a nice touch, the new emulator works well, and the whole package feels like it was designed to get you playing as quickly as possible. Is it perfect? No, I would have loved to see more openness and support for adding your own games directly into the front end, but for what it is, a plug-and-play arcade handheld with officially licensed content, it does exactly what it sets out to do. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video or just want to support the channel, make sure to leave a like, and if you have any questions about the device, feel free to drop them in a comment down below. Otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one.